Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world. Hey, stop them! Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
What?
If you smile to your fear and sorrow, smile. And maybe tomorrow you'll find that life is still worthwhile. If you
What's so funny?
just
Freak!
Gotham has lost its way. What kind of coward would do something that cold-blooded? Someone who hides behind a mask.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a comedy.
you just smile.
Oh my god, everyone, the Joker trailer is finally here, and that just gave an insane impression. I trust that I put it on the beginning of this video, but I may not have because of copyright issues. I don't know. Either it was or wasn't at the beginning of the video. Either way, the link to the trailer and where you can find it is in the description below. But in this video, we'll be more or less breaking down the trailer, going through the trailer shot by shot, more or less, and talking about what we did know and what we now know. But first impressions of that trailer, because I literally just watched it. This is my fresh reaction to it, if you will, just not a live reaction. I know some of you guys probably wanted that, but sorry, just had to, I couldn't help myself. That gave off the vibes that I'm completely knew would be with this film. Now, I've been following this film for quite a while. We knew that this, Joker movie would be an Elseworlds version. Some people love that, some people don't like that. And to put it in a nutshell, this is more of like a, as they describe it themselves, a broader cautionary tale. And Todd Phillips literally describes it as more of a tragedy. This is about a guy who has been knocked down in life and descends into madness, into the Joker character you would be familiar with, or through the comics or whatever. But more because of mental illness, not because of, he falls into a chemical vat, Ace Chemicals, and thus just comes out from a normal guy into a crazy guy. This is more of literally a character study. And that this trailer was, I'm more or less speechless right now, but it shows a lot of things. But without further ado, let's get into this breakdown. But first of all, guys, subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date with more Joker and DCU, comic book nerdy stuff, all kinds of things like this, and like the video if you do go on to enjoy it, as I really, really do appreciate that support. So at the beginning of the trailer, we see Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck, aka our Joker, who's at a more or less, I don't know if I would say normal point of his life, but he's a guy struggling in Gotham City, working probably the worst paid job you could get, just trying to bring a smile to people's faces, but is obviously going through a lot of rough times, struggling with mental health probably already, and that's why he's seeing this kind of social worker. And she even says, does it help having someone to talk to? And he starts explaining his life, and that's when we see like a montage of clips through him wandering throughout Gotham City, not looking like the most healthiest kind of fresh person, and that's something I love about what Joaquin Phoenix, or like kind of the shape he kind of got into with this role is that he's that very kind of scrawny clown prince of crime, which is, you know, very Joker accurate anyway. And that's when we hear this line from Arthur Fleck saying, "My mother has always told me to smile and put on a happy face." And in these clips, we see him at home with his mother. Now, if you've been following my Joker update videos for this movie for a long time, we've been talking about how he's been living in Gotham City with his mum like months and months and months ago, and I theorized maybe she dies, and that will be one of the breaking points of this film. Now, you know, that's not a spoiler, that's just speculation, so if it happens, you know, that I don't know concretely if that happens, but I feel like it's fairly predictable that during Arthur Fleck's descent and journey into madness, that will be one of the straws that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. And I love how Arthur is saying his lines here that, you know, like basically no matter what in life, you know, smile and put on a happy face. It adds that amazing contrast into what they're kind of going for with this film in terms of this character's transformation, because the clips that are playing as he's trying to take his mother's advice throughout life, it's this guy trying so hard to put a smile on his face, be optimistic, be happy, but through that, it just volcanoes and erupts his frustration more because he's living a shitty life, to put it bluntly. You see him here like venting his frustration in various different scenes. You see him struggling throughout the trailer, and yet again, he's trying to follow his mum's advice, be happy, be like a smiley person, no matter what, right? And as I said, that would just probably you know, break him. Like, he's obviously not happy, but he's trying to force himself to be happy, and I think that's obviously definitely the angle they're going with here. Now, even from the earliest days of this production, we all knew that Arthur Fleck would be a performer of some kind, and then Todd Phillips put out that very brief trailer, not a trailer, it was like that character screen test, right, of him on the stage, and it was flicking throughout his Joker outfit. And here we see, anyway, him writing his jokes, because he wants to be a comedian, but he's struggling. We see him in this trailer, and this just reminds me of when I was covering these very scenes that were kind of taken by the press, of him, you know, dressing up in a clown outfit, using one of those signs outside the store, trying to make people happy and go in the store at the same time. But that's when we see a couple of asses in Gotham basically nick his sign, and that's when we see him running after it, and he gets beat to a pulp. So yet again, reiterating that this proto-Joker at this point of the film, you know, because he's not quite that man yet, is just getting beat down and beat down and beat down, and there's only so much a man can take, especially with, you know, trying to follow his mother's advice of try and be happy. And that's why when he has that mental psychotic break, that is going to very much so form a part of, obviously, as we know, the Joker's character, because, well, for reasons I don't really need to get into, it's very self-explanatory. And yet again, guys, we see this scene when Arthur Fleck is saying the line of, is it just me, or is it getting crazy out there? He is getting very, very frustrated in this scene. You can see him tensing up his arms and all of his muscles. I'm not exactly sure what he's got there. It looks like maybe his clown mask. Maybe he's squeezing it together in anger, and I think that might be a couple of clown masks on the floor there as well. This could just be maybe the backstage of the venue we see him at later on in the trailer, but regardless, you know, this is him approaching that psychotic break where he can't really hold it together for much longer, and that is what we'll probably see maybe halfway throughout the film as it kind of develops on, and he takes on that kind of role going against, you know, the higher ups of Gotham City, such as Thomas Wayne, which we'll get into in just a second. Now, in the montage of the clips, and I love the song choice, we see Arthur dancing with his mother. Yet again, this really reiterates the fact of how close he is with his mother, and I think that's very obviously done so for the reasons we've already discussed. We see Arthur Fleck with Zazie Beetz. As I said, I remember when this was actually being filmed, and I'm guessing she might be a love interest. We still have yet to see exactly what factor she'll play in, but yet again, it's going to be interesting to see how this all factors into his transformation. Will something happen to her? Will something go awry with their relationship along the way? And maybe she just really finds him like she sees like the Arthur Fleck to the Joker in his person before he maybe has that psychotic break. I can't wait to see what their relationship is like in the film. And you know, the way he's looking at her, he's definitely kind of interested in her. And I remember from behind the scenes photos anyway, he was kind of stalkerish of her. So maybe unbeknownst to her, she doesn't realize kind of how into her he might actually be. And that might be a build up in the film as well. Maybe he stalks her for a while, and maybe she finds out after being kind of low-key obsessed with her for a while, she might explode, and that really might send him down the spiral staircase, among with the many other things as well. Random ass speculation there, but you know, I get the impression that might be where it could be going. Here we see Arkham State Hospital, which is really awesome. We see Arthur going to it. I'm guessing he's trying to help himself. Maybe he's been sent there by somebody else. We do see that he was talking to that social worker at the beginning, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have like an Arkham badge on it or anything like that. So I'm guessing maybe this is just Arthur trying to cope with everyday life, but obviously at some point he's not going to try and, you know, seek assistance anymore. Now, a couple of scenes later, we see Arthur Fleck in a comedy bar, and we see that he's really enjoying the jokes, and that's where we get our first kind of like teaser or sign, if you will, of his Joker laugh. Now, I wouldn't say this is his proper one. It's still really chilling. I'm happy with it personally, but I prefer the laughs later on in the trailer. This brings us to this really chilling moment where we see Arthur Fleck putting on his actual iconic Joker makeup. Obviously, he might not be the Joker at this point, but this is the look, if you will, that he will carry to adopt on in this universe, I'm guessing, because it's been consistent throughout filming. But the acting that is in this scene, the intensity and emotions that run across his face all at once in terms of how he's making himself smile, yet again going back to his mother's advice despite the absolute torture that's going on within him, because you see in this actual shot here that a tear is running down his face, but he's reminding himself to smile. And just like afterwards when he takes his hands out of his mouth and you can see the absolute stress he's kind of under. This is what I mean. This is why Todd Phillips is kind of describing it as a tragedy, and he said that, you know, if Joaquin Phoenix was there, he would agree. So you 100% get the vibe they're going for here. You know, with a character like the Joker with no definitive origin story, this is what they're deciding to do with it. So to any comments out there saying that's not how the Joker's supposed to be, to stop. Like, there is no supposed to be, really. Like, yeah. Then at this point of the trailer and, you know, in the film, I'm guessing Arthur is just delving into madness even more. We kind of see him become a bit more insane, if you will, laughing to himself on the train. And as I said, at this point, he's probably taken many steps down that road. And you got a couple of, you know, basically arseholes on the train there, calling him a freak for laughing, and then they proceed to beat him up again. Yet again, Arthur's struggling. We get this awesome shot of like the Joker dancing, and this is the actual shot they used for the Joker poster that we received, I think yesterday or the day before this trailer dropped. Now this part is very interesting with Wayne Hall, and we see Charlie Chaplin Modern Times is playing there, but we see a load of protests going on at the same time, with the clown protests. Now if you've been keeping up to date with the behind the scenes stuff, we know that it seems that Arthur Fleck rallies this kind of movement throughout Gotham, this kind of clown rebellion, if you will, and it does seem that a lot of the fingers point towards the hierarchy of Gotham, if you will, and Thomas Wayne being one of those people, and as described as more of like a Donald Trump businessman type Thomas Wayne, and he's not maybe the typical Thomas Wayne, you know, from the comic book. So it's going to be interesting to see how this, you know, gets there. But it looks like Arthur Fleck gets thrown out of there. At this point, the trailer decides to show us Arthur Fleck holding a pistol. Instantly, though, when I saw this, and as cliche as this theory is, and I know a lot of people will be saying that, it would be very interesting to see if they do end up making Arthur Fleck the one to murder Thomas and Martha Wayne with that full psychotic snap by the end of this film, thus leaving Bruce Wayne an orphan. And we see a very interesting part on the TV that he's watching. Thomas Wayne is saying, who would do something that cold-blooded? Somebody who hides behind a mask, and the irony in that is just brilliant in terms of his son literally grows up to wear a mask as Batman, and he, you know, he's not cold-blooded, but you get what I mean. This is obviously we don't know exactly what's going on in this film and the link between Thomas Wayne and Arthur Fleck, but we know that whatever happens, there is some kind of relationship there, and this has obviously got to do with whatever Thomas Wayne is talking about. It's got to do with the Joker kind of rally and movement that he's spread throughout Gotham. And talking of that is exactly what we see next, and this is the moment that you may have seen before from the behind the scenes stuff. We see a few GCPD officers running after Arthur Fleck. We see tons of people in clown masks. A lot of the signs say Wayne is to blame and stuff like that, so obviously this is what what I meant earlier through Thomas Wayne having quite a pivotal connection maybe to the Joker's movement against whatever is going on with the hierarchy of Gotham. But this next bit, man, I love it. We see Arthur Fleck smiling with a little clown freaking bobble on his nose, and I think this is the wall outside Wayne Manor. And why? Because guess what is coming up next? He's kind of playing this game with Bruce Wayne, acting a bit funny like a clown or a mime behind the wall, and then what does he do? He's putting a smile on Bruce's face. This is brilliant. I can't wait to see this in the movie. There's got to be nothing hostile or anything like that between these two, obviously, at this point. Nothing like that at all. But I just find it very poetic in imagining one day, and even though this is an Elseworlds universe, this kid will grow up and there will be arch enemies, really. But at this point, Arthur Fleck, who may not have snapped, may be trying to cheer up that little kid Bruce Wayne by putting, you know, the smile on his face. And man, I just can't wait to see what happens here. This is truly like a chilling down the spine moment. And the line that kind of sums up the trailer of the Joker's, or should I say Arthur Fleck's psychotic snap into the Joker, is that where he says, I used to think that my life was a tragedy, but now I realize that it's a comedy. You know, just basically explaining this version of the Joker's mental state and how he became to be. We know that the Joker just basically views everything like that, and that's how this character got there. He views everything as a comedy. Now, it's not a tragedy. Everything that's happened to him isn't bad. Really, it's just a freaking comedy, and that's the way he's going to look at everything now with that outlook. So, man, I can't wait to see that journey there. Now, the clips that play in between that line is kind of like, I feel like the delve into madness, maybe the key moments. Now, this moment here, guys, where he starts smacking his head against the glass, I remember the behind-the-scenes filming for this, and I remember theorizing, this is what I mentioned earlier, about how maybe he received some very bad news. He's in that kind of clown outfit where he's advertising the signpost. He goes in the phone booth, and then he proceeds to get very, very upset. So you can kind of maybe predict what they're going to do with that. Other parts, we see Joker smoking a cigarette. I remember when Todd Phillips posted this on his Instagram, just taking a smoke break. We see Robert De Niro here. Everyone thought that he might be a like talk show host, and that could still be the case because it looks like he's a performer here, but it might be like one of those Tonight shows, for example, where they do a couple of jokes at the beginning and he's opening up his own show and he gets Arthur Fleck on to do a piece. So I think he still might be a talk show host or something like that, and this is just the host saying his bit to the audience before he gets the guests on and stuff. We're gonna have to wait and see there, but very looking forward to Robert De Niro there. And I think that this is when Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck in his Joker outfit goes onto that stage, and I think this is going to be a very, maybe like most talked about moment in the film. Whatever he's going to do on stage, I'm very much so anticipating it. And then, guys, at the end of the film, we basically see the final product, the man he has turned into in his full outfit. Say what you will about the look. I know some people don't like the freaking red on the nose and stuff like that, but I dig it. And this is the man, this is the guy, this is the Joker of this movie and this universe. It looks great. I'm absolutely blown away, and we see him do that little smile at the end with a little bit of swagger. He's kind of finally found himself, I feel. And it is, you know, a tragic tale. October, I think it's October 4th. Looks fantastic, guys. So that is everything. I've been talking for quite a while now, so I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I am just so hyped, as you can tell. I'm kind of speechless. So like the video, guys, if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're brand new for more updates on all kind of comic book nerdy things like this. And, you know, join my Discord server in the links down below to talk with me directly about this. My Twitter and everything else is down there, and other social media handles and whatnot. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you jokers in the next video. Goodbye.